Yo, viewers and subscribers, welcome to another video. People, in today's video, we want to discuss the important role that the taxi industry plays in South Africa. Well, to be honest, I never really thought that the taxi industry was a vital cog in South Africa. I always looked at the taxi industry in a negative and bad light because of what I see on the roads on a nearly daily basis. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we family, right? Holler. Whee! People, I watched a video and this documentary, right, focused the creator went deep into the taxi industry, right? He actually went to the depths that we as normal commuters and citizens and residents don't really care to want to know about, because with the taxi industry, the deeper you go, the more shadier things become, and you don't want to be associated with that, right? Because as things stand, the taxi industry is always normally associated with negativity. And we all know what goes on within the taxi industry, right? From the bad driving to the rudeness to the disobedience of the law, just taking the law into their own hands, just owning the road, not respecting other drivers, not uh, driving without licenses, unregistered vehicles, expired permits. What else? Getting unlicensed drivers, sometimes even underage drivers. There's a whole lot shady stuff that goes on in the taxi industry, right? We all know about that. For most of you, for most of us who are on the roads every day, we know the ins and outs of the taxi drivers basically on the road, right? So that's the negative side. I and that's how I've always looked at the taxi industry, from a negative light, because I never saw anything positive other than they transport people from A to B to C to D, right? Eh, that's the only positive light that I've only seen the taxi industry in. That's the only positive light, that they are a transport company. That was it. Turns out that it goes way deeper than that. Now, the taxi industry, for the most part, is a fully fledged industry. It is a concoction of companies owned by individuals that are then formed into associations, tax associations, and they get given permits by the city council to drive on certain routes. And a lot of them, most of the time, for the most part, they obey the routes. But then it comes those taxi wars where people drive off their permitted routes, thereby causing an eruption of taxi wars. The sad thing is this, that it's a complicated issue, because it's not as easy as saying someone has to just drive on this particular road and stay on that route, because that's where they are permitted to drive alone. The city council doesn't take into account where these drivers live, how they have to crisscross to get to where they live, going to the routes they need to operate in. And so all confusion comes, because sometimes a taxi is on its way home, but it's off the route, and then it's got people in it. You don't even know if it's customers or not, and then a fight ensues or something like that, right? So small little things can ignite into big things, and like we've seen over the years, right? But here's the thing, guys, the taxi industry is not just a transporting business. from the outset. I mean, that is the genesis of it, right? But it goes deeper than that. I mean, one, we need to we need to understand and we need to be cognizant of the fact that this was an industry that was born out of exclusion from the main economy, right? This is an industry where people took matters into their own hands and created an industry out of nothing. This is an industry where people are like, dude, we need to find ways to feed our families, to create wealth, to earn monies, to earn because we are not allowed within the main economy. So you have to admire that mentality that some people decided that instead of going the criminal route by going and breaking and stealing and entering and all that, they decided they're going to start something, right? The intention is good, the the business model is great, and those are things that you have to take into consideration because at the end of the day, they grew this thing into a $2 billion industry. Now that's no mean feat, guys. I mean, $2 billion is a lot of money. 2 billion rand, sorry, I'm saying dollars. It's a 2 billion rand industry. People, just let that sink in for a minute, right? Township people, mostly uneducated, mostly lowly educated, basically no skills other than driving skills and a little business acumen here, managed to take nothing and turn it into a $2.2 billion industry. Now, if you are not one to give credit where credit is due, trust me, this is one industry where you are going to say, for sure, this needs credit, and they have to credit them for that, right? It's a trickle down economy, and a lot of us don't see the trickle down effect that this industry actually generates or supplies, right? So, number one, a taxi is actually a business, right? We just see it as a van, but it's actually a business. Why? Because you get a taxi boss or a taxi owner, employs a driver, and employs a sliding door operator, which we call a gachi. Not a guard, a gachi, sliding door operator. The boss, taxi owner, has a house, has a family that he needs to feed. So he employs a driver who in turn has a family and a house that he's got to uphold, right? In turn, the uh, the gachi has a house and a family that he must also feed. So you see now the trickle down effect, right? So now what happens is the taxi boss is obviously sets targets that needs to be reached every day to make the business profitable, right? So the drivers start early in the morning, around about 4 o'clock, up as 4. And to be honest, most other transport, like the trains and the buses, as some Ubers don't even go into certain areas which the taxis operate in, right? So that becomes the most obvious and most reliable form of transport in the early hours of the morning, right? And most people discard that because they just see the negative side of the taxi industry. Okay, so put yourself in the driver's shoes just for a minute, right? So let's take away all the negativity that I just listed earlier, right? If a driver is starting at 4 in the morning, what time does he wake up? What time does he go to bed? He's got people depending on him, right? What time does the gachi wake up? What time does he go to bed? He also got people depending on him, like family, like I'm talking about, right? People are going to work. A lot of people start at 6 o'clock. Most buses and taxis only start riding at about after 6, to be honest. But taxis start almost 2 hours earlier than that, which means they form a convenient, necessary transport, right? That really aids people to get to work. So we know that, right? Can you imagine starting work at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Not many people want to do that, right? Not many people. And I know a lot of people that don't want to wake up early in the morning at all, right? So here they are waking up at 4 in the morning. See what I'm talking about, the service these people are providing. So we have to take into cognizance, take into fact that these people wake up early in the morning. Cool, they wake up early in the morning. Then we look at the fact that these people then drive long distances to get these people to work and back. So early morning, it's like a race for time, race for money, race for customers. And so you see taxi after taxi after taxi. So even in the mornings, thank you to the city council for allowing the fast lane, the outside lane to be used by the taxi, especially on the M5. I think it's the M5 where the taxis are allowed to ride the whole morning. I think from about 4 to about 9 o'clock. It's just that lane is only open for taxis. So it allows them to have a clean, clear route, so they don't have to form congestion within the normal driving lanes, right? So it's like an express lane for the taxis to get to town to start collecting and start operating from, which is cool. So a lot of people depend on the taxi industry for their transport to and from work and schools, right? Because at a certain time of the day, buses and trains don't operate. Okay, cool. Now we understand that they provide a vital service to 70% of South Africa's population. That's a huge number, 70%. Then in the documentary, the guy said, if the taxis strike, just a 1 day strike, it costs the economy 2 rand a day. Gee whiz. Gee whiz. Guys, do you 2 billion rand a day? That's how powerful this uneducated, lowly educated group of individuals, um, that's the kind of money, the kind of power that they generate. I mean, guys, you you cannot ignore the taxi industry. You cannot ignore the taxi industry. Okay, so now we know they provide a vital service early in the morning, late at night, everything like that, right? Night time not so bad because sometimes trains do run till a little late, buses do run till a little late, so taxis are not really. But then after hours, you get these taxis that actually do run way into midnight, so way that buses don't even ride, and taxis are still riding into that, right? Then let's look at the negative side of where the city is not meeting the taxi industry halfway, right? So yes, I totally agree that there is a lot of conflict, static. It's just static between the council, the city, and the taxis, right? And I totally get it. Permit issues, the unworthy vehicles, unlicensed drivers, unregistered vehicles. There's a whole lot that goes into it, right? And I totally get it. I totally get it. Those things need to be ratified, need to be corrected. There has to be a system put in place. And impounding has become a big issue, right? Impounding, I think there's a 15,000 rand release fee when a vehicle is impounded, according to what the documentary said. And there was a huge thing, guys. That is a very huge thing. So on the surface, we look and we see these things and we think to ourselves, okay, what are we doing to what do we do as a community to assist these drivers, right? Because at the end of the day, we look at them as low class, that like just like they're nothing. You know what I mean? You provide a transport, you provide a transport service. That's the only way we look at them, right? But now look at the impact. So when that vehicle is impounded, right? The owner doesn't get money, the driver's out of work, and the sliding door operator is also out of work. That is families that have now been affected. That's 3 families that have been affected by one vehicle. Do you understand what I mean? So it goes beyond just the Oh, these people are uneducated. Oh, these people are rough drivers. Oh, these people are. It goes beyond that. There's a whole chain of command that gets affected, a trickle down effect. So, is it possible that we, as South Africans, as the government, as the police, as the communities, can respect this industry, respect these people, and I don't know, find a way to make us, I don't know, coexist in a peaceful way with the city and the taxi industry can coexist in a harmonious way that it does not affect the consumers, the customers, the commuters, because at the end of the day, the impounding, the taxi wars, the violence, the bad driving, the unworthy road vehicles, all that plays a vital role in trying to make a better South Africa. So, is there a way that we can all come together and create a beautiful, sustainable, respectable taxi industry that is in line, that is in tune with the rest of the country, like an adherence to the law, bring an end to the lawlessness, bring an end to all the violence, bring an end to all the negativity that surrounds the taxi industry. Is it possible? That's my thing. So, yeah, people, I have now a new perspective, a new respect for the taxi industry that I never really thought about. That documentary really shed light on what most of us don't see on an everyday basis, right? So, yeah, let me know what you think about this video. Was I on the money or did I totally miss it with this one? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we family, right? Hello.